What's up? This is Curtis with Show Up Lifestyle, and today I want to talk about how Marcus Aurelius stopped caring what people think. And what I've been doing lately is starting off my videos with a little quote. So here is a quote from Marcus Aurelius. He's famously known for his book Meditations, which is part of his belief in Stoicism. Um, and this is so spectacular because what he did with the book Meditations is it wasn't really supposed to be a book. He didn't set out to write a book about meditations. He actually it was his journal. So he was a king or an emperor, and he was journaling this stuff every day, and he was putting it in a journal, and it was found many years later. So the fascinating part about this is it was all things that he was struggling with, that he was journaling every day. Probably one of the earliest journals to be found. And it's an honest perspective from someone who was very high up. So here's the quote: everything we hear is an opinion, not a fact. Everything we see is a perspective, not the truth. So if you break this down, it really shows how to not care what people think in this sense. And I'll explain that in a minute. But first, I want you to subscribe to the channel, like the video, and comment below if you have any questions at the end. But the difference between opinion and fact is pretty much there's no such thing as a fact. And that sounds crazy, but everything is an opinion if you really think about it. And this is very arguable, but we'll go with the flat Earth, right? And it's funny because people argue about this all the time, and at the end of the day, it's like, why do you argue with people? Why do you care what people think? If you want to believe that the Earth is flat, that's your opinion. If you want to believe that the Earth is round, that's your opinion. What's my opinion? I don't care whether it's flat or round. We live on it. It exists, and that's all that really matters to me. But to be so bothered over something so trivial, and to have tons of arguments and just long conversations on whether the Earth is flat or round, it boggles me. But I mean, if you think about it, how can you really prove that the Earth is flat? How can you really prove that the Earth is round? And to be able to convince somebody that believes one way or the other that it's a different way than what they believe, you're just pushing your opinion on somebody else, and that person is just going to push their opinion on you. Now, you can make somebody believe that your opinion is the right answer, but at the end of the day, whether you believe it's fact or opinion, it's always opinion. Another example is, $2 can equal four, and you're like, but no, it's impossible. $2, if you have $2, that's a fact. But if you invest that $2 and that money doubles, that $2 is now four, but it's still $2. It just turned into four. So $2 can be $4 without any effort. And again, this is all opinion. It's not fact that $2 equals four. $2 could equal 100 million. $2 can equal, eight. $2 can equal zero. If you invest $2 and you lose that investment, that $2 is now $0. So, everything is an opinion, not a fact. If Michael Jordan is on the high school basketball team, and his senior year they're like, we're gonna have to cut you. You just don't have what it takes to play basketball. And then he goes to college, and outscores everyone, on the team and makes it to the NBA, at the time, it was a fact. It was somebody's opinion, and at that point in time, saying that he wasn't eligible for the basketball team seemed to appeared to be a fact, but in reality, it was just an opinion. You know, the fact was he didn't. That wasn't his opinion. He didn't believe in that opinion. He didn't believe that to be fact, so it wasn't fact. And to stop caring what people think is you can't. People are gonna tell you, that something is the right way, that you shouldn't do music, because you're not going to make a living out of that, but you should go to nursing school and become a nurse because you're going to make good money, you're going to provide for your family, and life is going to be grand. And you listen, you let that person make you believe that that's a fact. This person's right. I'm not going to do good in music. Nursing is a for sure thing. I could become a nurse. I could become a doctor. Go to school. I'll get paid good. It's a for sure thing. Music is kind of up in the air. And now that becomes your fact. And then you live that as being your fact, which is really an opinion, and you become successful at a nursing or being a doctor. You make good money, but you're miserable because you never took music, which in your opinion was the right choice, which music could have made a good living for you, and that could have been a fact, but because you changed your opinion into somebody else's fact, you made their opinion your fact. So you know everything you hear is an opinion, not a fact, and everything we see is a perspective, not the truth. The same thing that goes with this Michael Jordan story. you know from perspective, he wasn't able to cut the team for the basketball in high school. From perspective, he wasn't an MVP player for the Chicago Bulls with a crazy amount of championship rings. From perspective, this high school Michael Jordan was not that guy. But that wasn't the truth, because later on in life, as he put his opinion and made it his fact that he was going to go to the NBA and win all these championship rings, that became the truth. And from perspective, that was the truth. And we may say, from perspective, he's the greatest to ever play. But someone else's perspective might be, LeBron James is the greatest to ever play, or Kobe Bryant is the greatest to ever play, or Muggsy Bogues was the greatest to ever play. And well, Kobe Bryant didn't have this. Kobe Bryant has more moves. LeBron James, he was taller, so Michael Jordan, if he was that height, he would have been even better. And it's all these variables, but at the end of the day, it's just perspective. You know, you might say Bill Gates is successful, right? But at the end of the day, we don't go home with him. We don't live his life. We don't know what his home life is like, what his mental state is like, what's going on. You might say Mark Zuckerberg is successful, but we don't know anything about what's going on in his mind, if he's truly happy. And then you might say MC Hammer is not successful, but he might just love the fact that he made a few hit songs, and he's living good, and he's out of the spotlight now. He doesn't have to deal with the fame, and that might be lovely for him. He might be happier than any top 10 rapper right now, and you just don't know, because it's perspective. It's not the truth. A lot of these rappers, they have Lamborghinis in their videos, and they're doing all this stuff, and from perspective, they're rich and famous, but at the end of the day, it's not the truth. Because it's all rented, or it's all borrowed from somebody, or they're paying it off, and they're living like slaves. You just don't know, because it's perspective, it's not truth. So like I said, go ahead and like the video, subscribe to the channel. If you have any questions, please leave a comment below. I love talking to you guys. Thank you for watching. Have a great day.